So when an album process sort of starts up, like Immortalize, when that starts up, do you have an idea of what you want to do? Well, what kind of style you want to sing certain songs in?
The only template of any kind we had was simply to have no template.
Okay.
Was for us to remove any and all limitations creatively, and go wherever our creative barometers took us, so to speak.
And this attitude, was that a reaction to how maybe previous albums kind of came together, not having a template, or?
We've never gone into the studio saying that, okay, we want this to be the darkest record possible, or the angriest record possible, or this has to deal with this theme or that theme or whatever. It's always left pretty open. But at this particular point in our career, from a creative perspective, having accomplished what we've accomplished, thankfully, having been blessed with so many incredible blessings as an artist, or as artists, I should say, we just felt it was time for us to spread our wings a little bit.
Right. And like you say, it kind of broadened your audience even further.
It did.
And, well, this is because this is the 5th record in a row, #1. Was there pressure on the album? Because you had a little bit of a break before as well?
There's always pressure, every time. Internally, externally. We pressure ourselves, we feel pressure from the outside, we tend to thrive in pressured situations. They seem to yield great results for us, so we don't mind that.
In that sense, this is going to sound weird, but does it matter to you if the record becomes a #1 record?
It's nice. Certainly it matters, but that's not the goal.
Right.
The goal is simply to make each and every time we enter the studio, to make the most compelling, strongest, most powerful, most memorable body of work we can. If that hits another #1, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, at the end of the day, we look at the piece of art we've created separate from all of that.
Right.
We try not to judge it by those terms.
And was there maybe a track on the album once you started working on it where kind of everything fell into place, like a catalyst for what the album would become?
Not really. Okay. I wish I could say there was.
No, fair enough. But so in that sense, and you mentioned that the way you write lyrics is kind of after the music is done and you kind of get a feeling for it. So I wrote a couple lines down. We won't have time to go into all of them, but for instance, with the Vengeful One, do you remember kind of what that first spark was?
I remember hearing that first intro riff that you hear for the song for the first time when Danny first sent me the musical idea. It was just 2 pieces and a very relatively simple structure, and it immediately grabbed me. I didn't have lyrics automatically, but I was immediately able to come up with melody for the vocal, and what I felt was a very strong hook. So it was kind of easy to write to. It seemed very, kind of like open for the taking as a piece of music is concerned.
There's one line from it that I wrote down, and it's as if the entire world's fallen in love with their insanity. Where did that line come from?
It comes from the way that people seem to just yearn for chaos. People feed off of it. People, if they're not being driven crazy, people are not at peace to a certain extent. It's like they almost want it. And that is a very, very serious problem in today's society, that people yearn for, trials and tribulations and drama and chaos and that they feed off of it the way that they do.
And well, this might be a little bit of a personal question, but your band has had its fair share of trials and tribulations along the way. So what kind of kept you going? What kind of kept that passion alive?
first and foremost, and always, the fans. You know, any time that you as an artist, as a professional, find the professional aspect of things bringing you down, the passion of your fan base will always bring you back. Anytime life throws a curveball at you, that energy can be, the energy and the messages contained therein, which they wield, which we've written, can be an incredible source of therapy.
Right.
And a means of dealing with those things.
And finally then, because, well, you've mentioned this before, that one of the things that you look for in music is empowerment, and a track like Immortalize kind of symbolizes that as well. What do you feel when you're on stage singing those songs? Do you feel empowered, and is it kind
absolutely.
of a cathartic thing for you as well?
Every time.
Okay.
Every night. I get my fix.
Okay. Okay, and then the very last question, because, well, the album was released in 2015. Have you started thinking about the next record? Have you started planning?
We have started thinking about it. We're going to take a little bit of time off after this touring cycle is done, which should be in another month. We have some other projects that we're working on creatively, and we'll probably start writing for the new record sometime within the next year.